Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I have a special guest on the episode with me, Lina, where we're going to be talking about self-confidence, resilience, courage, and many other things. So welcome to the show, Lina.
Thank you, Johnny. It's really my pleasure to be here. I want to tell your listeners right now that I'm going to pretend just for a moment today that they're here to hear what I have to say and not that gorgeous accent of yours.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, yeah, of course, we're going to get a lot of value today. So Lina is, just to introduce Lina, and then we'll go into the conversation today. So Lina is the founder and CEO of Alexandria Professional, and also a critically acclaimed author, blogger, public speaker, philanthropist, entrepreneur, inventor, teacher, and recognized beauty industry innovator. Many different talents there. But what we're going to be talking to Lina about today is a lot about the mindset and some of the things she's gone through today that we can really learn from. So Lina, tell us a little bit about yourself and actually what got you to this point where you are.
Wow, tenacity, really. So everything I want to share is about, things I've had to go through. And we all go through something all the time. It's not that my story is any unique to other stories that have been shared. I think when people share what they've gone through, it basically resonates with those that look for ways to improve their lives. That's why we listen. That's why I listen to people like you or others, or, and then others might come in and listen to what I have to say. They just want to hear what we have to share. And it's not, like I said, it's not that my story is more unique than others, but I've had my fair share of adversities. I can tell you that for sure. And I know we all go through different things that bring us down or put us high or shift us sideways, maybe teach us how to pivot. And that's basically what I've had to do all my life. If we talk just the professional life, my business life, the development of Alexandria Professional, all I can tell you is, and this might make some of your listeners laugh a little bit. When I started 30 years ago, we just celebrated a 30th anniversary during COVID. And I started with literally no knowledge of the beauty industry. I talk about it in my book because it's kind of funny. I didn't like going to salons because I feel like they picked on my, everything I was embarrassed about, they picked on that and then tried to improve that. And I didn't make me feel good. So I stayed away from salons. My guy friends came to my house to do my hair, my hairstylist friends. So I had no knowledge of the beauty industry, definitely no knowledge of hair removal because I was too afraid to do, what my friends would do and scream at, like waxing back then. But when I saw this sugaring process on the Deanie Petty Show, a Canadian TV show in Toronto many years ago, and I saw this, I thought, wow, if that really works, that looks really interesting. So I saw an opportunity, right? I was in bed. I was bedridden from a very serious car accident when I saw this, okay? The night before, I prayed and cried myself to sleep because I was afraid if I was ever going to be normal again. When was I going to heal? I had a very young son, all these things. And I cried myself to sleep, praying for an answer. When I say praying, there's no specific religion, it's just like spirituality. And I woke up the next day, literally, I was bedridden. So I woke up the next day, clicked the TV. Thank God, it wasn't 50 years ago, there would have been no clicker. 30 years ago, we had our clicker. And there was a yellow caption at the bottom, and it said women inventors. Now, I won't go into that whole story, but I thought, oh, let's see what's going on. And the second person on there was a woman, a Canadian woman who brought this sugaring hair removal to Canada. She was in Toronto, and I was about an hour and a half away from there. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. From knowing nothing to saying a prayer to opening my eyes. If you're gonna ask, if you want, you have to open your eyes to signs, right? I took it as my sign. There's a really funny story to that, but you have to read the book for it. So I wrapped myself up real tight in bandage because I had broken and fractured ribs, bleeding spleen, all these wonderful things. And I had called the company in Toronto and I set up an appointment. So I rented a car and I drove to Toronto. That was 30 years ago with nothing, literally nothing, to a multi-million-dollar company, international, with my own theory, methodology, system. And now we deal with eczema, psoriasis, keratosis, scarring, reducing scarring, on top of helping people to get rid of their unwanted hair 30 years later. So you can imagine, I have to have my fair share of stories to share to get from that. I had $10,000 in my pocket that I got from the insurance company, because when I had my car accident in Ontario, Canada, in 1991, January, it was the no fault. We call it the black zone of car insurance, right? Otherwise, I would have made my face just on the accident itself. It was a black zone. That means it was the 30 days where nobody could sue anybody. That's when I had my car accident. So there was no, let me get retribution, nothing. They said, well, here's $10,000 because you lost some wages. It was many months of wages, but still. And I took that $10,000 with that prayer and that show and came here.
Okay.
But if I can do it, I swear to God, like, guys, if you really knew me, like all my friends and family know, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to believe. That's all there is to it. People thought I was crazy. What is she doing? Oh, she's doing a something trend, here today, gone tomorrow. Even 5 years later, I bump into someone, oh, are you still doing that little sugar thing? And by then I was already becoming international. And I just let people think and feel what they wanted and put my focus, all of my energy. And this is what I tell all my friends every day, or anytime I see someone wasting their time on negativity, all that energy, if you just let that go, you have all that extra energy to use for today, in the moment, whatever you need. You don't get depleted because it's there. You're not shifting it for something that's going to give you nothing. So that's the easiest thing to do, is to preserve your energy for what you need, your family, your job, your business, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. It's all something that's good for you that you can use it for, right? I think that's the most important for me.
Yeah, and I definitely resonate with that message. Particularly, I've seen close friends and family get drained because their energy is being taken up by things that aren't serving them, such as watching the media or kind of like a story like that.
Well, you want to suck your energy, stay on TVs or watch the media,
exactly.
Because that's going to suck it right out, for sure.
Just spoken to a recent guest and he's got exactly the same views. So do I. So of being very cautious about what you're putting into your mind all the time, and that's going to suck your energy. So I love your story about, actually, right, I've got this $10,000. I'm going to go and spend it here. Now, a lot of us have this need for certainty, right? That something's got to work out. So we often stay safe. We back out of things. So tell us, what was it that kind of really made you put all your energy into this, not knowing it was going to work out or not? Was it kind of like an instinct? Was it kind of a gut feeling? What was it?
Well, first of all, I was afraid of hair removal because I don't like pain, right? So I thought, if this works, there's going to be a market, because there's a lot of other Linas out there that don't want to feel that pain. If you have pain because you're going through some medical thing, that's one thing, but to induce pain voluntarily, I'm like, yeah, no, I'll shave, right? I get a little nick, I'll put, a little piece of tissue and go on with my life. So I thought, for sure, if this really worked, I was thinking, I'm just going to keep growing. But when I went to see them in Toronto, I brought a friend of mine with me. She's like my most brutally honest, no diplomacy person I know. And that's who I wanted to come. And she waxes. And I thought, okay, I need some, because I've never waxed, so I won't know. So she did a piece on my thigh. I thought, no way am I going to do this to people. My thigh went fire engine red. It was so painful. This really, I said, are you crazy? And my friend's like, okay, come on, let me try it. I said, okay, what's the most sensitive spot of your whole body? She goes, my upper lip. Hurts more than bikini. My upper lip. I said, okay, let's do her upper lip. God is my witness. They did it. It's done with your hand. There's no strips and stuff. And I went, oh, you're a little bit pink. She goes, she took a mirror. She goes, no, you don't understand. Normally, when I get waxed, my lip looks like a baboon and it's blood red. This is freaking amazing. Lee, I won't say the word. Lee, you got to effing do this. I will never forget those words, because in that moment, my most brutally honest individual I know worldwide said, Lee, you gotta effing do this. And I went, okay, let's go do this. So they didn't want me to do like distribution and stuff. They said, we'll let you open your own little place. I'm thinking, okay, well, I could do this in Niagara region. I could open like, 20 estheticians doing this. I was just thinking big, right? And then they called me, said, you know what? We'd like to talk to you about distribution. And that's how it started. I took a part of Ontario, and then I took another little part, buying meaning, and then I bought a little territory in Buffalo, cross-border of where I live in Canada. And the rest, you have to read the story in the book, because it's a good story. It'll show you how many adversities I got hit with head on, like almost like a car crash, you can say, and still got through every single one. I had my accountant saying, you got to declare bankruptcy. The bank saying, you took on too much, you should just stick to one thing, as though they're trying to tell me how to do business. Literally, I went through these things of almost nobody believing in me, except for the most important person in my life, me. I never lost faith, because I wanted it to work, but I also knew it was just a question of every time you go forward in something, you might end up coming to a wall. Take a step back, reevaluate, and pivot. The walls are not indefinite, right? So where's the exit? Where's another way? And that's literally what I did. I remember running to the bank with every tiny little penny I made every day to pay off a debt, because they were threatened to shut or this or that. I got through all of it. And we're going to grow 10 times bigger, because now, it gets easier. The bigger you become, the easier it gets to flourish, because you have more fun money to play with, to make things happen. Making it happen when you barely have 2 nickels to rub together, it's something anybody should go through if they really believe in themselves, for sure, because those are the best times. Everything else is just going to be much easier now, which is nice. It's a nice place to be, right? But you have to work to get there, unless you're born into it. You have to work to get there, and you can't be afraid of it. It's worth it.
You had that belief within yourself.
Yeah,
that's key, because obviously that external, often people struggle with this external validation and trying to get others to believe in them. But in all honesty, we're not in control of that. But you're completely in control of your own belief, right? You can
100%
transform that. So was that something you had to work on your self-belief to get to where it was?
Oh, that's such a good question. You haven't read my book. And if you did, you would say, oh, Johnny, that was a good question from you.
We're going to go into that next.
No, because I love the story, and I did a shout out, and I've actually got some scouts out there trying to get me connected to him, because he's very aged and he might pass away soon. So do you know Phil Donahue? He's like the king father of talk shows. Phil Donahue, you got to look him up. He was the best. He was like the first real talk show guy. So I used to skip out of school all the time when I was a kid, 11, 12, 13 years old, mostly 12, 13. And I would stay home and watch his show and some soap operas. But his show, he was amazing. His show taught me so much. The most one of the most important lessons. And I can literally see myself as this young 13-year-old laying in bed at night going, okay, didn't work today. You get to try again tomorrow. That's why I love waking up every day, because it's a new day to try. I've never forgotten this lesson. So I used to be so shy, Johnny. I would walk in a hallway of school and all the boys, all the freaking cute ones too, they would all get together to say hi to Lina, because they knew I would go blood red, ears, center part. There was nothing on me that was not blood red. I would go from Snow White to blood red. And then they start cracking up at me, because I was the joke. It was really hard. And, I had like big fuzzy hair. You can't tell today because it's up. And, we didn't have like, we had ironing boards, but we didn't have like iron, curling irons and stuff. So anyway, I was like always the joke. And so when I watched Phil Donahue, he taught what I learned from him from his talk shows. He taught, especially this one show, he said, and I live by this to this day, nobody is better or worse than you are. And he told someone who was a speaker who always had massive stage fright, when that old expression, like when you're in front of people, and you want to be more comfortable, picture them naked. Well, I can't do that, but I do look at people and try to imagine that they're no better or worse than I am, right? So then we're on the same plane. And that's how I've been with the richest and the poorest. And I've seen good and bad everywhere. And people that give you that, oh, you can't go too close because it's just, I don't know, it's like your energy field doesn't feel good. That can happen with anywhere in the world. And so I started practicing what he said, every day when you're in a predicament, just look at the people and imagine that they're no better or worse than you are, and that you are no better or worse than they are. That's the most important. I don't feel I'm better, but I don't consider myself worse either. So it's a very comfortable place to be in life, because you just are. And I love the freedom. I love the freedom of just being. That's my favorite thing. I love quality things and whatnot, but I could be in a muumuu. I was in Africa in a muumuu, my hair tied up because it was like so freaking hot and humid, no makeup. And I was not uncomfortable. Now, maybe other people looking at me thought, couldn't she do something? Okay, I don't know, but I'm not uncomfortable. So whatever I have to share is shared with the same enthusiasm, So that's what I learned from Phil Donahue and slowly I stopped myself from going blood red every time I felt shy. It's very difficult now for me to blush. It would take a very special guy to make me blush. You know what I mean? In a different scenario. Yeah, I don't really blush unless I'm laughing hard. Something's really funny. But practicing it every single day. And I remember this beginning lesson. I can see myself laying down in bed in my tiny little cot in our little house and laying down and going, I really messed up. Okay. And I still wake up with enthusiasm because today is another day. It's another opportunity. Let's learn. Let's try. Yeah, I love it. I love waking up. Grateful. Because, the alternative is another place, but I'll share that another time with you if we come on. Death experiences. That's a very good one. Been there.
So it was application of what you were hearing from Phil Donahue.
Phil Donahue. I want to give that man a hug. I really do. And I have some people looking around, but he's like, I don't know, 89. I think he's 89. He is 89 now. Yeah, that 89 is not that old. I know people are still dancing at 89. I don't know where he's at, But I hope if it's meant to be, I'll get to hug him. I don't even need the cameras. I don't need to tell people. I just want to energetically just do this and thank you, because that one show gave me so much. A lot of other shows gave me other things, like with, other things I had to deal with in my life also helped me to realize, yeah, I'm not crazy. But that one was magical for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. So obviously, what's your book, The Sugar Queen. Can you tell us a little bit about what's in that and what that's about?
Well, yeah,
obviously, we've got to go read it for ourselves, but Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the Sugar Queen because that is what I'm known as worldwide, the Sugar Queen, for bringing professional body sugaring and everything that's involved in it to the market worldwide. I'm so grateful for that because it's helped so many people, not just about the successes, but I have a bazillion stories of how many people we've helped, and that in itself is so worth it. So the Sugar Queen book, of course, is, it's been, there was one publisher, they didn't publish it because it's a memoir. They don't do memoirs, but they did read it because of the editor I was working with, works for the New York Times. So she's very connected. And she wanted to know if these people felt there was a strong voice, because she loved the voice of what I wrote. And they told her, this man told her, I actually had tears to my eyes reading this story. And he only had, I think, 6 or 7 chapters of it because we hadn't finished it. And he said, you have to continue this. It's like a novelistic autobiography. Like, I hope to meet this person one day. And she was so honored that he felt that way. So we worked for 2 years on editing the 100,000 words of crazy stories I put together, but she made it magical. She really helped me to make it magical. So basically, it's literally a story from when I was under a year old to reaching this area. I mean, this is already 3 years now since we finished it. And it's really just sharing. So I'll just dive into it for a second here, Johnny. But I was, and in this time of all the Me Too's and everything that's coming out today, it's one of the main reasons I knew I would write this book. I know exactly where I'm going still when I grow up. I know exactly what's coming next, and I'm actually working on it now. But the book starts where I was sexually abused from my father, right? I mean, I remember things from before I could even speak. I have a lot of cute stories, so vivid, so clear. And so it starts there to when I was 6, 7, and I had a near-death experience. So they lost me for a minute when I went for my tonsils. I bled out, so they had a hard time reviving, but I came back. And I share that story in there because I've carried that. I've got the Phil Donahue, it's an anchor. And I've got my life after death experience because that's an anchor. I'll keep it really short. When they did lose me, I didn't go far. I have people I know who died and went very far. I was not much further than I could see what was going on, but it wasn't just hovering over. I was far enough, I could see. It's almost like I was looking at something and I could see what was going on. And I felt relief. And I don't have the words. Maybe if I'd have gone to school instead of skipping out, I might have a few better words. But the feeling, it is so surreal as far as feeling 100% calm and joy. It's not like I'm happy. Calm, joy, like the most perfect feeling, sensation you could have is where I was. That's all I knew. And I remember looking and thinking, I'm so glad that's over with, because, so far it's been like 7 years of abuse, right? And it wasn't always horrible. That's why forgiveness is very important to me. But I was happy not to go back. Okay, this is over. I'm back. I don't know what to say about that, except that that's how I felt. And then I felt this from the back of me, somebody putting their hand on my shoulder, my right shoulder. And it's not like there were voices, but the words were, you have to go back. But I don't want to go back. You have to go back. You're not done. A lot of people are depending on you. You don't have to worry. We're always with you. Then I woke up with my hands tied to the crib, looked up. It was my mother, and thought to myself, well, at least it's not my father. My mother's here. And slowly, everything started going away, slowly. And then things happened to me as the years went by, so Phil Donahue, how you get over this severe shyness and all these things. And then this, I know I'm not alone. So maybe this is one of the things that gives me this incredible inner strength. I don't know. I would say I would have to put some money down on that bet and think, yeah, that affected me. And I took it with me all my life, even in the worst situations I've been in, like somebody pointing a gun at me, even in the worst situations, I've always known I'm not alone. I can get through it. If nobody trusts, when you're saying people worry about how others feel about them. Well, sometimes you might be in a situation where something happened and you're innocent, but nobody believes you, but you know the truth, right? This is my strength. I know the truth. And I know if no one else sees what I can see, they know, whoever they are, angels, God, the universe, I don't know. I wish I had all the answers, but I just know this one answer is in me. And that's been my staff, my strength, my anchor all these years, is that it doesn't matter what people think because I know the truth. And that's also why, I don't need to be married. I'm just one of those women who doesn't have to have a guy in her life just for the sake of having a guy or somebody to help pay bills. Or it's a liberating life because it's a short life. You might think at 20 you got a whole, but it's a short life. Think about everything you've gone through, Johnny. Everybody who's listening, if you take a moment, take a breath and think of the past, something that happened even like a few years ago. When you think of it, it feels like a dream. It's not real anymore. It just feels like a dream. And the longer away you go from something that generally happened in the past, the more you start to forget the feel, the face, things like that. It becomes like a dream. So all we have is here, this moment. I love this moment with you right now, Johnny, because this is real. It's now. I love that feeling. I thrive on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Amazing. Yeah, definitely recommend myself and obviously anyone listening to get that book, The Sugar Queen. So obviously you've had some huge experiences that kind of shape where you are. But one thing you did touch on there was forgiveness. And you said it's really important to you. So
big one.
Why is forgiveness so important for you?
I love freedom. We use the word too loosely here, really, in America. I don't know. Generally, when we say, we're free, we're not that free when you look at everything that's going on around us, right? Wars and criminalities and, sex trafficking, and we think we're free. We've got to pay our taxes. That's not what I mean free. The freedom inside, when you can rest at night, put your head down and not feel shame and guilt and regret, you're living in your freedom. You're doing things that keep you aligned or keep you feeling free because you're not burdened. Let's say you did something a little crooked. I don't know. I can't because it'll just eat away at me. So you can't feel free. Then you start to feel stuck. I don't like to be pushed against any wall. I mean, you want to see how strong I am? Push me against the wall, right? I'll always find a way out of everything. So I don't like to feel stuck. The opposite to feeling stuck is feeling freedom. When you forgive, you're allowing yourself to be unburdened by whatever transpired. If you want to feel anger, it'll suck your energy, right? Your good energy. It'll start making you feel more stuck. You don't realize it, but the more it eats at you, the more you become stuck. And when you become stuck, you don't have the breath to accept something to come in. You're building things. So maybe something good, but it can't penetrate. I want to be open, receive, and be ready. So if you're not open, you can't really receive. And if you're open and you receive, but you're not ready, you may lose the opportunity. So I want to always be open to receive, and I'm always ready to do what is necessary with what I receive, right? Forgiveness allows me to live that. So once I forgive a situation, you may not, it may be such a terrible, and you can't forgive that person right away, but allow yourself to forgive the situation. Allow yourself to forgive yourself, because sometimes situations happen, you don't realize that you might feel a sense of guilt yourself for what happened. It's so seldom that something happens that is only 100% one-sided. If you're open enough with yourself and communicate with the facts of things with yourself, you tend to see things differently, and then you become more empathic. And when you can have empathy and put yourself in the other side, really, even if it was bad, people do things for different reasons, unless they have, what do you call it when somebody's imbalanced? Psychotic.
Psychosis.
What's the word?
Psychosis.
Yeah,
Psychopath.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. They can't control that. That's something, unless they find the right meds and so on, right? I know this for a fact from situations I know. So in this particular case, taking away those aspects of personality diseases that is out of their control. And let's go to my father for an example, right? There is no excuse for anyone harming any child on the face of the earth, period. But it's a but. And I want everybody to understand this, because this was a big liberation for me. When I decided to forgive my father, I saw a man who was an alcoholic. I know alcohol sometimes makes people do things they would never, ever dream of doing when they're not drunk or high, right? I'll admit, I've been drunk in my day before, and done some pretty stupid things. I forgave myself for those. I didn't harm anyone per se, but it was pretty stupid. So when he stopped drinking, he stopped everything else, right? He stopped the abuse on me. He stopped the abuse on my mom. He became more accountable, a good worker, would bring the money home to the wife, So I saw him build, and so I decided, best thing, I had forgiven myself because I felt guilty, even as a baby, even as a child, right? Because my mother blamed me because she didn't know any better. These were secrecy things, right? How can you let your father do that? I'm sorry, I'm 3 years old. I don't understand, right? But these are things I remember very clearly. But I also forgave her because she was just stuck between a rock and a hard place with 4 children, and the father who drank his money away, and she was like a laborer of piecework, bringing piecemeal money home to build, meals. So when I forgave him, it was the most liberating thing for me. I had already forgiven myself. When I forgave him, it just, all of a sudden I saw, I saw, it's all, like when I say things come in when you open, I just saw more of how he was treating others. I saw more the person he probably wished he could have been all his life, but he had to live with his omen. So like when I was in my late 20s, he was in a hospital with severe case of shingles. And I found out from my cousin, which was more his cousin, a female, that he talked about a lot of regrets. So I wrote poems to him and I had her bring them. She said, he just cried and cried. And it was poems of kind of forgiveness, and yeah, he's human. He's human. He did a lot of shit stuff in his life, and he worked at being a better person in the end, you know? So I've used this scenario many times trying to understand people, why they do bad things, or all the things. When you read the stories, pretty much everybody I've forgiven. That's in basically in all those stories that I've shared. And some of them have been amazing. Like, I can't believe you forgave me. Like, they're so grateful, and they lived with that burden. That's what I'm saying. So like, it can lift so much for so many people, but the first person has to be for you. You have to do it for you. You can't control how others feel, but you can do everything for yourself on how you deal with your emotions, how you deal with your daily happenings. Because, you know, I've been on a road rage thing before. I try not to do that now. I thought, what's the point, you know? But, you know, I was there too when you're high stress and you're in a hurry. Yeah. We all do stupid things, right? So we have to forgive ourselves, and we have to forgive others and open up for what's really coming our way. It's really, that's the magic in my life.
Powerful message from, you know, challenging situations you just mentioned, but being able to use that by forgiving yourself, first of all, allowing you to feel more free was the word you were using earlier. So thank you for being really open with us, Lina, and sharing that story as well. I appreciate it. And it's a powerful message, I think, in terms of forgiving for even the little things, forgiving other people for small things, but forgiving ourselves first. So one thing, a couple of kind of questions left in our kind of conversation's flown by, really enjoyed it. But one thing I really want to touch on is the power of your community around you. So did you find that when you were developing as an entrepreneur, that actually having a right community around you supported you in your growth and built up that resilience as well?
So I just want to say, in my experience, the community is not always for your success. You know, there's an old expression or adage, you can't make your millions in your backyard, right? I don't know if you've ever heard that expression. You can't make millions in your own backyard.
Vaguely.
Okay. So for me, community is my direct environment. It's the teams of people that work with me. Like, I have a huge community, international. I have business partners that are friends, you know, after 25 years and 20 years relationship, 15 years. So I look at the world as my backyard. I always have. Even when I was a kid on my bike, going in my neighborhoods, I used to look at the homes. You know, I'd like to look inside of the homes if the curtains were open. I didn't want to see the people. I wanted to see how they decorated. But back then, there were a lot of true white picket fences. And I'd drive and I said, God, I don't really want that. I don't want the white. I want to go everywhere. Like, and I created my world internationally. So I've been almost everywhere. And so the best part for the community where I am right now in Buffalo, New York, which is just cross border to where I lived in Canada, right? The best part of the community here is that when I came here 8 years ago, it's not like I was born here, but when I came here 8 years ago, I infiltrated more on the business level of things. So I got involved with, you know, Haven's House, which is abused home for women. That's my thing, obviously, is, you know, to help women and children not have to suffer. And I have a great plan I'll share with you maybe today if we have time, if not another time by email. And so I have this here, and I have that in my Canadian hometown community where I support Jillian's Home, which is also for abused women and children. And I can say that today, it wasn't always that way. Today, more people are proud, if I dare to say that, because it is true, are proud of what I've achieved and what I'm doing with that achievement. Because you know, your achievement, financial success cannot be just about you. I think that goes stalemate. I feed off of people, like I feed off of energy. I feed when someone's happy. If I do something good for someone, they're happy, that brings the world to me. That's why I love my professional business. It wasn't just about the money I collected from people. It was about how I can help them feel great, you know, for whatever problem I could help them with. That to me is everything. And if you can get paid at the same time as making other people happy, well, God bless us all, right? So the communities are great today, but I'm going to be honest, it wasn't always in support. I mean, you'll see, you'll read the book of what I went through politically in my small hometown, and I was pouring all my energy into helping it. It was just old boys club, just, and I don't live that way. Like yes, I'm a woman. I like to dress nice. I like pretty things. I like jewelry, whatever. But when I do things, I could be in a muumuu and still have the same energy. It's just, I like certain things. I just want to be. And that's the best anyone can really hope for, just to be. It's not a be me, no, just be your good energy and do well, because everybody can. Everybody can, really. Stop this inside, stop the noise, clear it out, right? Declutter. I'm a professional declutterer in my home, and I'm a professional declutterer of my mind. I've been helping friends for years trying to clear how you use that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's obviously the key tool that we use day to day. So decluttering our mind, one of the top things. So Lina, are there any final points you'd like to share with us? Perhaps the plan you were just going to touch on then?
Which plan? You have to help me here.
You were mentioning about some of the work you were doing in,
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you for allowing me. So you'll know when you read the book that I've always known I was going to become a millionaire. I always known. I always said, I'm going to become a millionaire. My grandmother would say, marry a millionaire. And my gay cousin, which nobody knew about, but my gay cousin back 50 years ago would say, no, make your own millions. I like that idea more, right? Because then it's mine. I always knew I would be a millionaire because I always knew I would become a speaker, because I have a clear message. This is when I was just, even before I was a teenager, I always knew that. And so here I am. And I thought, well, first I had to write the book. If not now, when? So, okay, let's do it. I did it. And then I thought, okay, well, what am I going to do to make a change? I want to advocate against child abuse. I really want to advocate against it. I will speak openly, anywhere, anytime, with anyone, because there can't be any shame and stigma attached to this anymore. We have to get past all that, right? And I've been working with abuse shelters for women and children, advocacy center here in Buffalo. And I see what they do, and they do big galas and raise funds, and it needs to be. And they build bigger places to accommodate more people. And that disturbs me. It disturbs me. I can cry when I think about it. I mean, I know it's needed, but I don't want to be celebrating that we have to build bigger places to shelter more children and women. That has to stop, right? So, okay, what am I going to do? What can I do to help this? And it can't be about the glamour. It can't be about wearing the black tie affair, doing a black, has to be, so then I thought, and I only thought of it not that long ago, I'd say like 5 weeks ago. I know what I'm going to do, maybe a little bit longer. We're all talking about create awareness on so many levels today, right? Genders, abuse, everything, women's rights is getting stronger, all those things. Okay, so how do you create awareness? How do we make every single person that says they're against it become more proactive? So here's what I'm doing. We registered Lift the Veil of Silence Society. And now we're doing it's a lot of, red tape we have to do to create the nonprofit organization. So here's what's going to happen. Simultaneously, I've got a team working with me. We're creating a Hippocratic Oath for members. So it's a lot of thought is going into this Hippocratic Oath. And in order to become a member of this society, and I'm going to connect to all my partners around the world, all of them. I mean, we love each other, we respect each other. 98% women, but the men like me too, so we'll get them in too because they all have wives. So I want to create a Hippocratic oath that, let's say I give it to you, for example, God be willing you haven't, and you're not abusing anyone, because who am I to know, right? It's not a disguise. You can't tell who is what. So, and I give it to you and you think, yeah, like I can honor this. And the honoring of what you're signing is this. It's going to be very simple, just very detailed, but simple. If you think someone is getting abused, if you have a gut feeling someone is getting abused, if you know someone is getting abused, you're signing that you will take action. Now, I know for a fact there's fear involved with taking action. There's guilt involved because it might hurt somebody that otherwise you might think respectful. And maybe they have a big business, because this is not exclusive to poor people or low income families. So what we're doing, we don't expect people to sign and be blinded. The whole point is to lift the veil. So we're going to have what to do for where you are or who you need to report, so that there's least damaging. And there's a lot that will take place, because I will be so involved once this kicks off, because then there's a little bit of lobbying to do about how they do this when you report it, right? So my goal is to help more people become members of this. It doesn't cost you anything it's a free membership. I'm not trying to make more, I want money. But if you want to donate, we'll use that money for education, right? This is the point of it. But it doesn't matter if you have money or no money, you can become a member of the society because you decide you want to be involved and accountable to help anyone you know is in danger. That's the bottom line. So that and it starts with our home. Starts with each of our home. Is there abuse in the home? What steps can you take? In this Hippocratic oath, you agree you will take steps forward to prevent that abuse, right? Your home is clear. Is there abuse next door? You know there is. You might think, you believe, you have an idea, you see the child when they come over, there's something. What can you do? From there to your community, from your community to your city, and it just keeps spreading. So every member we get, we're going to have that member. That'll be in the Hippocratic Oath that, as members, we're also going to try to have more people join this society. And I think it's kind of like, how when Lithuania, before they became independent, when Lithuania did that human chain link, we're talking from one country to another. You can look at it online. There's pictures of it. And that's not even that long. I think it's like 20, 30 years ago, something like that. And they built, this is what I'm trying to build. One hand in one hand, helping the other. I think, I can't think of any other way, because there are enough people doing, raising funds to build bigger shelters. I know we need them, but I cry every time we build more because the need is there. And that just makes me want to throw up. So we just have to find a way to, not shut our eyes. I think you want to go to sleep not feeling good, you shut your eyes when you know somebody's being abused. I don't know how you can live with it. Yeah. A little bit too much? Is it okay?
No, it's a strong cause. So thank you for sharing that with us and what you're doing. So obviously you're on various platforms that people can find more about this kind of work you're doing. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is we're going to link your social media profiles in the description as well, where people can find you.
Good. They can also, we have the Lina Kennedy website where all of this part of me is, like everything's shared there. And we have lots of write-ups there and lots of newsletters and it's just that it's under new construction. So it's going to be a few weeks before it's up and running, but you can find me because I don't hide. I answer emails in the middle of the night. I don't hide if you want to chat, if you have ideas, anything, because to me, this is going to be a global thing and it's not a race. You just get started. You just keep growing until your last breath, and then it continues on. That's what I want to build. I think it's necessary.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll be sure to put those links to where we can find you in the description as well. So thank you so much, Lina, for sharing everything today and sharing, your story, the challenges you've overcome, the experiences you've had. And, we've got an awful lot of value that we can take away. So appreciate your time being on today.
Thank you for having me, Johnny. And thank you for letting me listen to that gorgeous accent.
Thank you.
Take care. Welcome. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
You're welcome. So that concludes our episode for today. But remember, work on your self-confidence every single day.